Okay, what I was saying is equal rights. Equal rights, equal citizenship. It's a very important thing when it comes to knowing what is unifying us as a nation. And the nation, you know, it's not only the law, the nation is also the narrative. And I can tell you something which is going to be very important. You need to get a Malaysian narrative that is integrating all the memories in the name of the common history. You know what we are facing in the West as Muslims? We were told for many years, the only thing which matters for you is to abide by the law. So equal rights, you are going to be equal as citizens. And we did it. Not only we studied the law of the country, not only we abide by the law, but now we understood that there is not the point. The point is not only to be treated equally by law. The point was also to be part of the narrative. So some people are saying, yes, you are Swiss, I'm Swiss, but not really Swiss. So you have to do more. So you are part of the citizenry, but not part of the nation, not a member of the nation. So the nation is the common narrative, is what binds us together. And this is very important when it comes in cultural terms, by the way, added to equal citizenship. And I mean this, no discrimination, equal citizenship. The third principle is universal suffrage, is the one who is going to lead is going to be elected by the majority in the country. The majority process is something that we know in Islam. It happened with Ghazwat Uhud, when the Prophet, peace be upon him, was in minority. He was right, they were wrong, but they were more numerous, and he lost. And he followed the majority. And the Quran came to tell him, even though you were right, even though they were wrong, forgive them, and implement the principles, because the principle is not based on the result. The principles is based on the principle. And the result of a majority process could be a wrong decision, but the principles remains. That's the point which is important when it comes to the majority system, and universal suffrage is something that we are advocating as something which is important. There is a fourth principle which is important, which is accountability. And the great difference, inshallah, between what is happening now in the Middle East and what happened for decades before is that these people are not going to be democratically elected for life. The mandate, you have to come back to the people. You are accountable in front of the people. And this is what Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said to the people: if I am right, support me. If I am wrong, help me to come back to what is right. Asking the people, I'm accountable. I have to come back to you. So you have to do the job. You are not passive citizens waiting for you to die. We are active citizens asking you for accountability. So this is the fourth principle. The fifth one is separation of power, which is what is the normal thing that we have also. It happened also with Ali Karramallah Wajha, when we are differentiating between the executive power, legislative power, and judiciary. This is something that we have in Islam, that the people should not be the same people. There should be independence in anything which has to do with these powers and these authorities. Now there is a sixth principle which is important, and very much we don't get it because we need to come to this discussion. And now you can see that it's coming in all the countries, in Tunisia, in Egypt, about what is happening in the countries today. It's the nature of, or the structure of authorities within the state. And this is where the experience of Muslims in Muslim majority country with what is called secularism was a very bad experience. A very bad experience because the British or the French or the colonizers, when they came to the country, they came with a system of values and a way of dealing with authority which was, we distinguish between the authority of state and the authority of religion. And very often what they were doing in Muslim majority countries was to act not to separate, but to attack religion. So their point was very much to attack the Islamic reference in all these countries and not to give freedom. The difference between the secular systems in the Arab world and the secular system in the West is that in the West, the secular system were protecting freedom. In the Muslim majority country, it was state without religion or state controlling religion and no freedom for the people. So it's secularism minus democratic principles. This is what we had. All the people who were supporting the secular system in the Arab world were Bashar al-Assad, Saddam Hussein, Mubarak. They were dictators. In fact, they came by saying, we want to separate religion from state. In fact, that was not true. Because what is said in the true secular process is we are separating authority. So religions have their authority and the state has its authority. In Turkey, in Turkey at the beginning of the 20th century, and then in Egypt, in Tunisia, in fact, religion was under the authority of the state. The state was deciding everything about religion. So it was not the secularist system that we have in the West. It was, in fact, a way to control the religions and to control the religious resistance. This is why Ibn Badis in Algeria, he understood the problem. He was in Algeria and he was talking to the French. He said, why do you distinguishing religion from state in France and not in Algeria? We are asking you to do the same in Algeria. He understood something. By separating the two, you are giving us our freedom to be able to act against your own system. This was in Algeria in the 40s. He understood that this was a game. In fact, the exported secular model in the Muslim majority countries was a way to control religion under the authority of the state, not to separate the two authorities. Now we come back to Islam. And we look at what happened in the West, and this separation between state and religion is something that is celebrated as essential for democracy. And in fact, if you talk with some sociologists, some political experts, when they talk about democracy, there will be no democracy if there is no secularism. And this is what we are challenging. This is what we are challenging, but we have to be very clear. Not challenging, but being alienated by what is said about Islam. The Orientalists told very often the Muslims, you Muslims, you don't make a difference between state and religion. And in fact, that's not true. The very old Islamic tradition is making difference between the authority of the state and the authority of the ulama. It's making a very deep difference, and this is why many of the ulama were challenging the state and didn't want to be used by the state. But in which way? This is what we have to understand. In fact, if you come to the Islamic principles, and we speak about the differentiation of authorities, what is very essential here is that what is coming from God, what is coming from on high, which is not disputable, which is an authority that is going to be coming from God and not disputed, is in three fields. First, al-aqidah, the creed. The 6 pillars of Islam are not discussed. The 6 pillars of faith, sorry. The second, al-ibadat, the 5 pillars of our practices, not disputed, not discussed. This has to be implemented. And the third is everything which is coming from prohibitions. The fact that we cannot go for riba, the fact that we don't drink alcohol, all the prohibitions are prohibitions not disputed. Inna al-halala bayyinun, inna al-harama bayyinun. What is permitted is clear, what is prohibited is clear. No discussion about this. This is what is coming from the authority of our religion. Now, when it comes to everything which has to do with social affairs, al-masalih, the public interest in Islam, what is and was and remains essential for us today is it's coming from a discussion, the shura, the concept of shura. This is a bottom-up way of dealing with authority. And here, the scholar doesn't have the final word. Who has the final word? The people who are deciding in common, in consultation of their affairs. Amruhum shura bainahum. They are deliberating about their affairs. So, in fact, the fact that we have 2 authorities, one is coming from on high and not disputed, the other it's a negotiated authority when it comes to the way we deal with our society, the way we deal with our law, the way we deal with our interpersonal relationship. It's in fact a way to deal in another way with authority, in another way which is it's not the scholars who are going to tell us the way. Even the Prophet himself, peace be upon him, he once was in a struggle in Badr. And he came with the army and he put the army in a place. And someone came to him. Look the way he was dealing with authority. You will get the two authorities now. He came to him and say, where we are, this place, is coming from God or is your decision? Is it coming from the book or is it coming from your mind? Is it coming from the divine or is it coming from the human? He said, no, it's me. It's mine. He said, it's wrong. It's not the right place. We have to protect the wheels and water from the enemies, and this is the way the strategy will be better. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, acknowledged the authority of the one who knows about the strategy of wars, and he was saying, we follow, and he changed. Meaning that he was educating the people to know if you speak through the Quran, we listen. If you speak through your minds, we challenge. You get that? You know this, very important, that some of the philosophers in the West, they were saying that this attitude of the Muslims in the legal field that are differentiating authorities was in fact the starting point in Christianity of understanding what they call secularism. In fact, instead of saying today, you Muslims, you don't get it, Alain de Libera, a French philosopher, is saying that the Christians got this differentiating between church and state from the way the Muslims were dealing with authorities. But we are alienated. We don't know even our history. So we think, oh, it's coming from them. While we don't know how it's coming from within, that there are two authorities in Islam, and the head of the state, which is dealing with the public affairs, the public interest, is elected, but he is not talking in the name of God. No one is talking in the name of God. No one has the right to say, this is God. You are not. This is me. Well, as for God, Allahu A'lam. God knows best. This is the way we deal with authority, and this is why I'm saying there is something which is important here, is to be able to differentiate between authorities with one difference. And this is where we challenge the secular contemporary models. By saying, yes, in Islam, we are able to differentiate with between two authorities with one condition, and this condition is not disputable. It's the condition that anything in the public spheres should be connected to an ethical positioning. We do not differentiate between politics and ethics. Don't use the secular models to come to Machiavellian position, which is no morality in politics. It's not our way.